Right, we usually do a round robin, in the room. We've got, I don't know if we have any new people. I think we're good. Are we good to go? Does everybody know everybody? We've got a couple presenters, but yeah, we will hear from them. All right, so we'll move past that then, and go to the approval of the minutes of the November 19th, 2025 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
And I'll second.
all right, is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions? All right, thank you very much. All right, we're gonna move right on to public comment. Got a couple folks in the room. Tim Mara, I've got you going first.
All right.
Welcome.
Should I stand here or where do you?
Yes,
yeah.
sorry, we already got rid of our podium.
How about that?
There you go, or what?
Well, I should say that, okay, for the record, and we're not gonna cut into your time here, by the way, but for the record, this is our last meeting in this facility because this organization, amongst others, are moving up to Mercy site in Bond Hill. So even though this location for some of us works out really well because it's so close to our offices, we're gonna have to bear it, and go a little further. So anyway, welcome, Tim.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I'm looking forward to hearing the Rumpke's presentation on their operations at the landfills. I do have some questions pertaining to that operations, and I'd like to pose these questions. Hopefully we'll get today some answers to these. First, to turn your attention to the Bond Road landfill. And we'd like to know, when did Rumpke stop work on the new access road from Sand Run Road? And does Rumpke plan on resuming that new access road construction, and if so, when? Second, does Rumpke plan on moving any waste from the Bond Road landfill to the Colerain landfill or another landfill in 2026 or 27? If so, how much waste, what type, and from where in the Bond Road landfill would they be taking that waste to another location? Third, does Rumpke currently pre-treat? I know they don't, last I heard, they don't pre-treat the leachate at the Bond Road landfill before trucking it to Harrison. And Harrison does not pre-treat the leachate before they put it in with the general sewage in Harrison. And I'd like to know, is that going to continue? And, or is there some plan to begin pre-treating the leachate either at the landfill or at the Harrison wastewater treatment plant? If so, when? Fourth, does Rumpke currently truck leachate from any other landfill located outside Hamilton County to the Harrison wastewater treatment plant or to any other location in Hamilton County? Or has it done so in the past? And if so, for what other landfills have they brought leachate from outside of Hamilton County? I think the people of Hamilton County have an extra burden because they have to handle all the landfill waste from all the adjacent counties. And we'd like there not to be added to that burden, the leachate brought from outside Hamilton County, from other landfills. So I'll just pass along to all of you my list of questions.
Okay,
And hopefully we'll get some answers to some of these questions.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Marie, Coach,
Yes.
you're next.
Thank you.
Got the pleasure of the floor for 3 minutes.
Thank you. I am representing Sierra Club, Miami Group, and we are hoping to hear some good news about the organics sites, which of course have been proposed, have 3 of which have been proposed for Hamilton County. And I see that's on the agenda, so I'm eager to hear about some progress on that front. And we, as you heard before, we have the perfect solution, we believe. We believe that in order to raise the money, we should increase tier 2 from $2 to $4. I'm not telling you anything new, but we continue to believe that this would be a solution on lots of fronts. I mean, I think that, as Tim kind of indicated, they're taking this trash, eventually it'll fill up, maybe 20 years left. I don't know how long they're actually anticipating that they'll be in business. But we think that it's only fair, as Tim mentioned very nicely, that we're taking the burden for all these other areas outside of the county. And if we could raise the tier 2 fees, that might change that, and we would have a longer life in the landfill. And secondly, we have some money to purchase these 3 organic sites. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marie. We've got 2 online speakers. Our next speaker is Carrie Davis. Got the pleasure of the floor for 3 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me, folks? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello. Um, my first concern today is losing the zoo representative. She's only been on the committee for 2 years. I don't think there is any other business in the Hamilton County region that has their foot in so many different piles of garbage. They know it all from the composting to the recycling, everything. And I do not understand. I don't know if you guys are mandated to seek applications, but I'm here to say we need the zoo. Us taxpayers are paying a lot of money to support the zoo. And I think it is very, very important that the Cincinnati Zoo remain on this board for years, because 2 years is not enough time to grasp all the tough issues you guys are dealing with, and bringing new people in and circulating them out is not in the interest of the community. So I'm begging the zoo to make sure you are on this board, and I'm asking all those who get to vote to make sure the zoo is there, because we can't get anybody better. If there's somebody better, let me know. The second thing I'll talk about is I want to know, when was the last time we did a calculation of the amount of garbage that is being dumped at the Coleraine site? I know the solid waste plan said 23 years, but I also am seeing the numbers tick up drastically, and the population increase has gone up, not down. So we are actually loading up the landfill faster than we had anticipated. One concern I have is Rumpke was just given a $55 million grant for two transfer stations outside of Hamilton County, but fully intended to bring trash in to Hamilton County. And I would like to know how much more waste is going to be transported into Hamilton County from these transfer stations. As to the I want to bring up to you something I've never brought up before, but some language changed in the law. Any county that we are working with, or district, solid waste district we're working with to dispose of their garbage, we are now required, it's not optional, that we have a written agreement with these counties. And oftentimes these counties are paying us money to be allowed to dump their garbage in our community. That also enables us to demand and require recycling in all these communities. So I would like to see expedited effort made for the county districts to have a written agreement with us on how they are going to dispose of their garbage in our county. And back to the fees.
Karen, your 3 minutes has expired. Thank you for your comments.
And
Appreciate
for
it.
the fees.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Bruce Burno, also online.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you. Just two things. I'm a board member with Green Umbrella, the Regional Climate Collaborative. And I had the pleasure, I want to thank Denise Driehaus for coming to our annual Green Umbrella annual impact meeting last year. Impact meeting, it was called. It's basically was our annual meeting, and Denise did a very nice presentation, and very much appreciated her being there. I had the opportunity to visit with her for a few minutes. And basically, from Green Umbrella's perspective, I just want to stress the importance of our relationship with Hamilton County and all that you do. And we want to, strengthen that relationship and continue it and expand it. We have a lot of opportunities to work together. There's so much work to be done, and we have great respect for the work that Hamilton County does. And again, just want to build upon it, and just want to basically extend a note of appreciation for the relationship that Green Umbrella has with Hamilton County. Secondly, for the Rumpke presentation today, I'd just like to know as much information as possible about the status of the Hefty Renew Orange Bag program. I know it took off at a very rapid rate. I don't know if it's plateaued or fallen off. And generally, what volume did they generate through that program in 2025 versus 2024? And is Hefty pleased with the program and committed to continuing it? Is Rumpke pleased with the program and committed to continuing it? And how can we expand it and market it even better? I think it's a really great program that not many people know about. I'd like to see it grow and expanded. So again, both those points, especially back to Denise. I know you got the full plate with the children's services levy and the stadium tax issue and the Marriott hotel issue and so forth. So paying attention here to the environmental issues is much appreciated. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. I feel burdened now with all the reminders of what the county's up to. But here we are at solid waste. So we talk trash. Okay. Yeah.
I beg your pardon, I forgot my fifth question. Can I just quickly?
Yeah, and I've given the questions to Rumpke, just so you
I
know.
didn't, it's a write-in.
You did have some extra time, so go ahead. Yeah.
Does Rumpke continue to shoot birds and animals at the Colerain landfill with the advice and consent of the U.S. Department of Agriculture?
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next item, which is the resource revenue update. It's attachment B in your packet, and Michelle, I'm gonna turn this to you.
Yes, so this is a full year of 2024 compared to 2025, just so you can get a picture of where we're at with tonnage. In district tonnage kind of changed. It's been going down the last, I don't know, 5 or so years, but it did go up in 2025 by about 4%. The out of district tonnage was really flatlined. It went down by 0.07%, which is basically flatline. The out of state tonnage went up by about 5% comparing those 2 years.
So any questions related to what might attribute to that? Should they be directed to you or Rumpke
I
or?
would think Rumpke would
All right.
be better, but I have heard that the special projects can really fluctuate those changes, so maybe Rumpke can address that.
We've got a lot on the plate for Rumpke today, so glad you're here. We've got a lot of questions. Okay, so I will reserve my question then for them. But that's a trend that we don't like to see as we try to divert, from the landfill, but thank you. Any questions related to this? Okay, thank you. The next item is the waste generator representative position. So Mallory is up already. And so we need to form a committee of the 4 statutory members, or 2 of the 4, to look over anybody that applies for this position and then make a decision related to that. Mallory, I haven't heard one way or the other, but are you interested in continuing?
Yes,
That's very good news. All right, very good. Okay, so I need 2 now. Greg's not here. Matt's not here. So I say it's Greg and Matt. I'm told this is what happens. So no, I'm just kidding. Sue, we need 2 of the 4.
Yes, I'm happy to
You're happy to do it?
Yes.
All right, and I am happy to do it if I can't get Matt or Greg to do it. So yeah, we'll figure it out. So we'll sort that, Michelle, and make sure we get that done as quickly as possible. Thank you for your continued interest.
do I have to formally apply or is that
Yes, it'll just be the same form you filled
Okay.
out last time.
Great.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right, we'll move on to the next items. The next one is the annual landfill and recycling presentation from Rumpke. So please come forward. Looking forward to your presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And would you please introduce the team?
Yes, so my name is JT Westerfield. I'm the Region Landfill Manager with Rumpke Waste and Recycling. And with me today, I have Bill Rumpke, who is the Vice President for Rumpke Waste and Recycling. And we'll be giving you kind of a high-level 2025 overview for landfill and recycling here in Hamilton County, is what we're here to talk about today. So I'm going to start off first specifically talking about the landfill. So at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill specifically, I want to talk briefly about how much tonnage was taken in airspace at the facility. So as you can see here, in 2025, Rumpke Sanitary Landfill accepted about 2.6 million tons of trash. This is in line with kind of year over year what we've done in previous years. So no huge increase there. Once again, we've kind of said this before, the trash that comes to our facility comes from about a 60-mile radius. The other thing that you'll notice here is about a little over 1 million tons of that 2.6 million came from Hamilton County. So that's roughly about 45% of the overall volume that came into Rumpke Sanitary Landfill came within Hamilton County. Now, when we talk about airspace, obviously we measure in cubic yards. We use roughly about 3 million cubic yards. And so how we kind of measure that is, every year we'll do what we call a drone flight over the facility, and it'll take a topographical map of that facility. And then what we can do is we can compare, a date of one flight and the date of another flight, and the computer can generate, because we know where we're placing trash, the computer can calculate how many cubic yards or what volume did we consume during that specific time period, right? So when we look at kind of on a calendar year's basis, it's usually right around 3 million cubic yards of airspace at this 2.6 million tons of trash that the landfill consumes every year. Now, when we get into how much life does the landfill have remaining, there are a couple important points that we need to look at when you're ever talking about how much life is remaining. There are various numbers that are floating around, whether it's 40 years, 25 years, which one's right, which one's not, right? Well, they're all kind of technically right. It's just depending upon, you have to understand the assumptions, right, that go behind that number. So not all, because of these different numbers, the assumptions change, and they can change your number drastically as to the years of life remaining at the site. Okay, and the EPA makes us report it to them in kind of two different ways. I'll say one is kind of what I'll call an actual, I'll say an actual burn rate in terms of life remaining, and the other is kind of, I'll say, a theoretical maximum. Okay, so those are some of the numbers that you'll see. So if we look kind of right now, every year we have to kind of go and look at how much remaining cubic yardage of airspace does the landfill have. And like I said, same thing with that topographical map, we can calculate how much permitted space we have left at the landfill. So when we look at kind of the flight that we took here at the beginning of January, we're looking at roughly about 106 million cubic yards of airspace remaining at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill, okay? And this is based upon current compaction rates and current waste acceptance rates, all right? So when we look at kind of that actual, right, when we look at what our actual compaction rate is, and what is a compaction rate? That's just basically saying how many tons of trash can I get per cubic yard, right? That's a very important number to us, right? We want that to be high, right? We don't want to have, we want to put as much tonnage as we can within that airspace, because that airspace is a very valuable commodity. So that's one variable that can affect the life number that you see at 35 to 40 years. So depending upon what you make in that assumption, right, when you project that out over decades, that can lead to a big error bar where you can see some things that kind of get away from you. Typically, what we tend to see, I'll say on average, right, you want to see that number to be about 0.9 tons per cubic yard. It's kind of in general, right, is what we expect. Now, when you look at it year over year, right, that number can fluctuate. It can be higher or lower, and there's certain factors that can affect that compaction rate. One is obviously how many compactors are you running? How high are you, right? So the higher an elevation you have a higher waste mass, you have more weight pushing down, so you can get better compaction. Whereas if you're starting low, when you first kind of go into the landfill cell, right, you can't use compactors or anything like that, so you're not really compacting anything. So your compaction number when you're down kind of on the floor tends to suffer a little bit and be a little bit less than that 0.9. But in general, let's say about 0.9 tons per cubic yard. Okay. So when we look at that and we look at our actual waste acceptance rate, so if you take that 2.6 million tons with the 106 million cubic yards of remaining airspace, right, that gets us roughly to about 35 to 40 years of life right now at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill if we keep taking in waste at the current rate that we are today, that 2.6 million tons. Okay. Now I want to talk about the theoretical maximum limit. So there's other numbers that you will see. So we have something called a authorized maximum daily waste receipt, or something what we call in the solid waste industry an AMWAR. That's just basically the limit that the Ohio EPA places on us in terms of how much tonnage we can accept in a 24-hour period. Okay, so at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill, our AMWAR is 12,500 tons a day. So that's as much as we can take in within a 24-hour period per the Ohio EPA. So when we do our annual reports to the Ohio EPA, we have to run a calculation that says, okay, if I have 106 million cubic yards, they wanna know what's the life remaining at that ANWR rate, so 12,500 tons a day. So what that assumes is I'm taking in 12,500 tons a day, 365 days a year. What actually happens at the landfill, right, is we take in 10,000 tons, basically Monday through Friday. Saturday we'll probably get 22 to 2,500 tons, and Sundays 300, right? So that's the actual number. So what you're looking at when you see an ANWR number or a year that's like 20 years, right? It's more of a theoretical maximum number, right? In terms of worst case scenario, that'll never happen, right? We don't want to run up against that 12,500. We want to give ourselves a little bit of buffer so we can adjust to fluctuations, obviously, in the waste stream in terms of what's coming in, whether there's, if there's a natural disaster that happens in the area, we need a little bit more room to help service the area from a tornado, a flood, whatever, what have you, right? So typically, what we're taking in at the landfill is about 2.6 million tons. So if I took in that 12,500 tons a day, 365 days a year, I think that's close to about 4.5 million tons a year. So if I took in that number, I'm taking in 4.5 million, where I'm actually only taking about 2.6 million tons. So once again, when you look at kind of life at the landfill, there's a couple things, like I said, that you got to kind of understand and look at and understand the assumptions is, one, your compaction rate, the actual acceptance rate, right? And what is your, and what that actual acceptance rate is to actually get a true number. And that number can fluctuate year to year, right? Depending upon, like I said, what is your compaction rate? What does your tonnage look like? So that number can float. So one year it might say 35, and then the next year it could go up to 37. That might be because, hey, look, some tonnage got taken away, right? Or what have you. So that number can kind of float out there. But roughly what we think right now is about 35 to 40 years left at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill. Any questions specifically with regard to, I guess I'll call it like airspace and remaining at RSL?
So, okay, so.
Yes, ma'am.
In 2024, when we were doing our solid waste plan, actually it was in 23. The calculation for the footprint at that time was 23 years. How is the are you talking about the exact same footprint where that 23 years was calculated? So no new permits, no new.
Correct.
So are you saying that was an error?
So I'm not saying it's an error. I'm saying it's.
You're doing it different calculation.
It's a different calculation. You have to understand the assumptions, right? There's a bunch of different ways that you can calculate that.
Okay.
What I'm gonna say is usually when we've seen that 20 to 25 year number, right? You're taking a tonnage rate, let's say 10,000 tons a day, right? And you're projecting it over 365 days a year, right? So when you project it over 365 days a year, Sunday through Saturday, you're taking 10,000 tons a day. That's when you kind of get that lower number because you're taking in 10,000 tons a day on Saturday and Sunday. In actuality, we're taking 300 tons a day in on Sunday and about 22 to 2,500 tons in on a Saturday, right? So not that the number's wrong, it's just you have to understand the assumption and what goes into it and what's happening in actuality in terms of that year number, right? So I'm not saying that number's wrong, I'm just saying that's why it's very important whenever you see a life number with regard to sanitary landfill life, you have to understand the assumptions that go behind that number to actually have a true value and understand what that number is telling you.
Okay, so you changed the methodology for this number versus how the 23 years was calculated.
So it depends upon, I don't know where you get that number, right? Like I said, there's two different ways to calculate that number, right? So we have to report it kind of two different ways. We have to report it, one is in terms of what our actual burn rate is, right? What our actual burn rate is in actuality. So that 2.6 million tons, what am I actually doing? That's one, where we get the 30 to 45 years worth of life, right? Then there's another way that we have to report the number, where we have to say, okay, if I take in 10,000, let's take 10,000 tons a day, for example, right? If I take in 10,000 tons a day at 365 days a year, that means I'm taking in 3.65 million tons of trash. I'm only taking in 2.6, right? So while yes, the 10,000 tons at 365 days is a legit number, it's a theoretical number, right? It's not what's actually happening in actuality. So that's what I'm saying is when you look at actuality in terms of what we're actually taking in, we've got about 35 to 40 years worth of life at the facility. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm curious, so does, cause like in the report, there's like a dozen different landfills that have life expectancies.
Mm-hmm.
Do they all fluctuate like this?
Ohio EPA is very prescriptive of what's in our plan.
Okay.
How that's calculated.
Okay.
So if you were to calculate it using Ohio EPA's methodology, would it?
That's where you get the lower, basically you're doing a maximum trash
Yes,
scenario, which is a minimum life expectancy. for
Yeah.
landfill.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
And
correct.
you're just saying that, but you're
but
just
because
not,
the actual is less than what the maximum trash is,
Okay.
then you've got a longer.
so it's longer
life
life.
cycle. Yeah.
Correct, absolutely. Yep,
Good, thank you.
all right. I don't know if I want to do it right now. Do you want me to handle we got some questions about Bond Road. I can do that. We don't have a specific slide on Bond Road, but I can kind of maybe address some of these questions.
Well, you have more of a presentation.
Yeah, we do. You
All
can
right,
do
let's
that.
finish the presentation and then go back to the question.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Right, we'll talk about recycling. So we have seen an increase in recycling participation. It's been going up every year, but in 2025, Rumpke recycled 700,000 tons of recycling. That's as a company. Our Cincinnati recycling facility processed 175,000 tons of this material. That makes it the fourth largest MRF in North America. So something we're obviously very proud of. Hamilton County recycled about 62,000 tons of that, 175,000. So one thing, locally, we have a team of about 130 to 150 trucks that goes out and picks up recycling. City of Cincinnati is one of our customers. We have seen in that group 3,600 new subscription recyclers from that through a lot of marketing efforts that we did in 2025. So that's been a big positive. Some of the big areas of growth that we've seen are Anderson Township, Green Township, Cheviot got curbside recycling this year, which they did not have in the past. And we've also seen a big increase in Butler County as well out of our St. Bernard group hauling it. So one thing quickly to address, there was a question brought up about the Hefty program and how that's going. One thing to note on that we've seen is roughly 50 to 60 bags per day coming into the site that are being pulled out and then sent to be processed. So it has been a success. It's pretty consistently 50 to 60 bags a day. So that's a good thing. Some more updates. So just talking about the landfill. So we have updates that are going on about our Colerain site. As part of our approved 2019 expansion plans, we have a whole bunch of old buildings that are right in the middle of where the future landfill is going to go. So we need to relocate those buildings and structures along Hughes Road. That are along Hughes Road, they're going to go up towards Struble Road. So we're currently building a new office and landfill maintenance building along Struble Road. And then Montauk Energy are the gas plant that we work with. They're going to break ground on a facility, a new landfill to gas energy plant right near our parking truck lot. So they'll all be right along Struble Road there because all the buildings in the back are going to need to be torn down because they're right in the middle of the future landfill footprint. So very excited about that. Hopefully done by the end of the year. So another thing that's happening in the region here, constantly trying to increase our efficiencies on the hauling side. So in April, we are opening a new transfer depot in Claremont County. The site is going to serve our existing customers in Western Hamilton County and in Claremont County. The facility consolidates loads of material into one truck to transport to regional landfills. And the majority of this material will be disposed of at our Brown County landfill. So that is a slight change of what we are doing currently. So some of our service area and our tonnage that we're getting out of Western Hamilton County is going to go through this transfer facility and end up at our Brown County landfill, whereas right now it is ending up at RSL. So that is a change. We're thinking it's roughly 300 tons a day that were going to RSL that are now going to be going to Brown County. So that's a reduction to RSL, not an increase as was previously asked about. So, and then finally, National Battery Day. So we do not like batteries. Actually, we like batteries when they go to the right place. We do not like batteries that go in the trash or recycling. So February 18th is National Battery Day. It's a good reminder that batteries don't belong in the trash or recycling. NWRA's new PSA campaign with Woodsy the Owl, as seen on the screen, promoting skip the bin, turn batteries in. It is today. How about Lost track of time. And then a reminder, the hub has several battery drop sites, local fire stations. Those have been very, very good. We've got a lot of batteries out of that stay out of the trucks and out of our facilities, which obviously cause a lot of issues. So fires, other issues. So I think that's all of our presentation.
Could you answer the question that came up earlier about the amount of trash going into the landfill, in the
Sure.
district that the,
In district versus out of district.
well, the increase to the amount of trash in district, which is never good news for
Yeah.
this group, right? Because we're always trying to divert. So can you, do you have any idea how to attribute that to?
5% out of state.
So five,
Yeah.
It was in.
was it a 5% increase out of state?
5% out of state, 4% in
dis-
district.
Which is the end district is what I'm more concerned about, because that's what we have more control over,
Sure.
for lack of a.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I would just be making guesses, but is that based off of a raw number increase or a percentage of the total increase?
It is based off of raw numbers,
Okay.
the tons going to the landfill.
Sure. So our overall tonnage was really not tremendously higher. I just about flat year over year, quite honestly, between 2024 and 2025. So I'd have to dig into the specifics, but to Michelle's earlier point, it could be a special waste job, a larger special waste job or something like that. That could drive those numbers.
Okay. Just curious, so we try so hard to strategize around
Sure.
that going the other direction, I just was curious if we could maybe just dig in a little bit. Just see if we
There
can-
hasn't been a substantial increase in, we have been getting the vast majority of residential and business waste in the region. And to one of my points on there, we do have more recycling participation as well. So it would be hard to believe that it would be coming from the residential side or the business side. It would make more sense to me that would be coming from a special waste job.
Okay,
But like I said, I don't have the
that's helpful.
details, but we can definitely look at that.
If you would, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
So do we want to go back? We can go back to the
Yes.
questions or I'm happy to entertain questions from the group first. No, we want to go back. Okay. Let's go back to the questions.
All right. So we'll answer some of these questions for Bond Road. As I said, we don't have a specific slide for Bond Road, but we can answer some of these. With regard to the entrance road on Sand Run, I believe we stopped work roughly around the end of 2022, 2023, and kind of put a pause on that work. So there's no timeline in terms of when that work will kind of commence or continue. So we don't have anything on that front. We don't have any plans in 26 or 27 to move any waste from Bond Road to Coleraine or any other landfill. The leachate from Bond Road landfill is not pre-treated. It is taken to Harrison Wastewater Treatment Plant where they do treat it. Anything we take to Harrison Wastewater Treatment Plant is within our permitted limits that we have permit for disposal with them, much like we at RSL we have with MSD, similar type setup. And then do we truck any leachate from outside of Hamilton County to Harrison Wastewater Treatment Plant? We do not. So the only leachate we take to Harrison Wastewater Treatment Plant is the Bond Road landfill leachate that we collect from there. With regard to bird depredation, yes, we do continue to do bird depredation at Rumpke Sanitary Landfill. Per a permit that we get from the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we do work in close conjunction with U.S. Fish and Wildlife to do that per all of our permit and regulations.
Okay, thank you for the answers to the questions.
Yeah, I have one other question. So it looks like it was probably about 20 tons that came in for the hefty orange bags, and where are those going? Because I know that in the past it's kind of changed.
Do you remember what Jeff said? It's going to a mechanical end user. I forget what the name of that was. We can get
He
back
hasn't
on that.
reported.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a report from Rumpke since December of 24 on where the material is going.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a full load since then, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So it takes a long
Yeah.
time. So one of the, I don't want to say issues, but one of the setbacks of doing a mechanical end user, which we, as part of our agreement and part of our conversation with the city of Cincinnati, we agreed to only use mechanical end users. So part of the setback with that is we have to have a full load before we send it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus our Columbus plant does a program up there. And they're not having to wait, so they're able to send it off quicker. But that being said, we're yeah, we're, once we get a full load, we'll have a better, yeah.
Yeah.
But it is going to mechanical end users. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it right now, but we can get you that information.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks so much for coming in. Thank you. All right, our next item is the target community updates.
Jack Hagan is gonna give us a presentation on his work in target communities.
Very good.
Share. Welcome.
For everyone that I've not had the chance to work with yet, my name is Jack Mangan. I am the community coordinator for the Hamilton County Resource Team. I just wanted to offer a quick overview of Resources Target Community Program today. So each year, this initiative provides select communities with direct assistance analyzing their current waste diversion efforts and helping them work towards any future goals that they may have. So this program is designed to more holistically address community needs while providing the opportunity for myself and my team better connect with local leaders and residents. This hands-on approach allows for the collaborative development of strategies unique to each community that we work with. And while each of our communities that make up Hamilton County have their own specific challenges and barriers to increase the waste diversion, each community, I believe, is also uniquely situated to overcome these challenges. So through coordination with the local leaders that we work with, we are able to identify the needs of the community and tailor our plan to address them through the following focus areas. That includes improving residential diversion rates, which is typically done by increasing access to recycling infrastructure throughout the community, increasing participation and reducing contamination through education and outreach efforts, targeting hard to recycle items, usually through organizing alternative waste streams via community events or established infrastructure, and then establishing project continuity, which is achieved through sustainable programs and partnerships and building internal municipal capacity. This year's target communities are the city of Norwood and the village of Elmwood Place. And I've provided progress reports that are kind of spread throughout the room for your own reference. Each began this program on April of this past year, and since then, each community has been involved in the planning process and early implementation stages. Each community was selected based on their interest in the program and their commitment to improving diversion efforts throughout the county. So Norwood, with that diversion percentage of 11.91%, was chosen based on their capacity for increased diversion infrastructure. And since beginning the program, Norwood has implemented an e-waste collection both in partnership with Reboot Electronics. They've reached out to local businesses and multifamily developments for potential partnerships and participated in extensive planning for the coming year. Norwood plans to announce additional projects at their upcoming Sustainability Day, including a residential composting service and mini hub collection site in coordination with Queen City Commons and the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub. All of this in hopes of achieving their diversion goal of 15% for 2026. Elmwood, on the other hand, was selected based on their potential to increase their diversion rates, with a baseline diversion percentage of 0.38%. Elmwood had ample opportunity to grow and establish their programming. While their diversion rate actually decreased for this past year, their public recycling drop-off dumpster was added to the community this past December, is currently on track to more than double the diverted total that was last reported in 2025, having already collected 1.5 tons of recyclables over the last 2 months. So finally, these are just a couple options or a couple examples of their current programming. But finally, I wanted to offer a list on the next slide of past community successes. Listed are some former target communities, including the village of Addiston as the most recent example. Addiston wrapped up its target community program in December of 2025 and enjoyed measurable success during its term as a target community. Here you can find a graph depicting the years leading up to Addiston becoming a target community in 2024 and the years that followed. And to offer just a quick note about that graph, Addiston actually did not participate in the RRI program for 2023, so we didn't have any data for that year. But in the years since, their participation community diversion programs have skyrocketed. Since participating in the program, Addison has added a public recycling drop-off dumpster that's been highly utilized. They've engaged in education and outreach efforts throughout their community and established an annual diversion day for residents. This year, they've continued to reach out to myself and my team in hopes of expanding programming, including allowing local businesses to utilize the recycling services and increasing their diversion day capacity to invite neighboring communities to participate in that program as well. In Target Community Program, it's not only improved recycling rates at community level, but it also strengthens the resilience of diversion programs throughout the county. These investments in partnerships, infrastructures, and education produces lasting results that ripple throughout the entire county. And working together on goal setting, plan development, and project implementation not only builds long-term successes that we see reflected throughout our communities, but long-term relationships as well. I'm happy to answer any quick questions that anyone may have about any of those communities or any of that program.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
You know how much Reboot is collected for?
Reboot's collected since, I think, establishing the bin in September, just about a ton of e-waste.
Anybody else? The one thing that I note on here, when you talk about the city of Norwood, is that it's interesting to see the total tons diverted has increased every single, well, with one dip, but mostly. But the diversion percentage, if you go to 2020 and compare it to 2024, isn't so much different. So to me, that indicates there's just more trash.
Yeah.
Overall, we're diverting more tons, but it's a lower percentage because there's just more trash to begin with.
Yeah.
So maybe that answers the question as to what's going on with the landfill. I mean, I don't know if you can extrapolate that to the larger community, but maybe there's just more trash in general. We're still diverting quite a bit of it, but there's just more of it through the road. So I just offer that as anecdotal, because I was struck by those numbers on your chart. So, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks for the
thank you,
presentation.
everybody.
Appreciate it. All right, next is the organics update.
Yes, I'm gonna provide an update on the organics projects that we talked about last time that were in our action plan. This is just, and I did provide slides because we have a lot of balls in the air right now and it's confusing even to us. So I know it's confusing to you. So I'm going to try to make this just a second. Make this as easy as possible.
Well, let me provide a little bit of background while you're looking for your slides. So this is an update related to our organics plan, which is in the 5-year plan, the solid waste plan, trying to figure out what is the best way to approach diverting organics from the landfill in Hamilton County. And we've got a couple of pilot projects going on right now with farmers, understanding that we're trying to land somewhere. Are they larger facilities? Are they smaller facilities dispersed throughout the community? What's most accessible? And so that's the equation we're trying to figure out. And so we are in the middle of doing some of these projects to help us figure that out. So I'm trying to buy you time here.
That's okay, sorry. My VPN has died and so Mary's been for it. I'll start though first with so one of the first things that we had talked about doing that was like it is not an attachment, it's a presentation in the folder. That was it should be under meetings if you go up or down, I'm not sure where you are. Meeting packets. 2026, February. Organics past discussion. Oh, there. Yes, thank you. Great. At the other two presentations. Yes, that's it. So the one thing that we talked about in relation to potentially needing a fee increase was to put out a big RFI to see what interest we could get in building partnerships for a public-private partnership. So, you can go to the next slide. So that right now, we are working on that. We are planning on releasing that RFI March 2nd. And having a virtual information session on it April 1st and having the expressions of interest due on April 30th. This will be a 2-month process. The target audience for this are potential partners. The big, a bigger scale composting than everything else that we're going to talk about. So we're looking for a 6-acre site. This would be 4 acres of composting with 2 acres of buffer. At the same time, we are looking for compost operators. So originally we thought maybe we would do these in 2 different RFIs. We're just going to put them in the same one. So potential partners could be current class 4 composting operators, current community composters who are looking to really grow their business. This is really to get information on how much investment it would take to build those public-private partnerships. So this is going to be a much wider net that we're putting out. It's going to be in national trade publications, that kind of thing, to try to get and see what interest that we can muster up. And the reason that we put the timing is that hopefully we'll be able to discuss this at the May meeting. So hopefully we'll have some responses. Hopefully we get some interest. So you could go on to the next one. So that underneath that bar, it says compost demonstration sites. So we are currently working with Common Orchard Project. The Common Orchard Project, we have the county administration, River City Correctional, all the right approvals. Green Umbrella has approved it. So we expect that agreement will go before the Board of County Commissioners in early March. And then once that is approved, hopefully, having probably approved, the improvements will be able to start then. So we're hoping mid-March, they'll be able to start. They're ready to go. This site would really be making it a nice site for people to visit to actually see arid piles in action. So we hope that that will be up and running soon. The Investle, there's not much. We applied for an Ohio EPA community development grant. We'll see if we get it. We won't know for a few months. Go on to the next one. The Hamilton County Partnership for on-farm composting. This is a separate one from that first RFI, right? So this is target audience are farms in Hamilton County. We are hoping to partner with 4 to 5 farms. So this is a smaller scale. We're hoping, that they would take 500 tons of food scraps on average for each farm. This isn't a large scale composting, but helping to build up. So some farms are already composting. This would be helping to improve their current composting or for building new composting. It can also mean that the farmer themselves wants to do the composting, or if they're interested in leasing some of their land for a third party to operate a compost facility. So we are expecting to launch that at the end of February. So this will be a much tighter, a very specific audience. There might be a little overlap between the two, but a very specific audience. We're hoping to have an in-person workshop in March. We're still working on finding a place to host that or getting an agreement for hosting it. And we're hoping to have the expressions of interest for that April 10th. I expect that we'll probably push that deadline back a few weeks, but that's where our goal is right now. And you can move on. Finally, second to last, the food scrap collection subsidy. I'm sorry, I keep moving, but I do it to make it happen. The food scrap collection subsidy. This is where we are subsidizing composting collection for food rescue partners. So Tony has been working with the large food rescue partners. Free Store Food Bank is going to be our first. So they have 150 agencies actually come to them to pick up food. So this would be almost like a hub for places, for smaller pantries and food banks to bring food that was inedible back to the Free Store Food Bank to be composted. And so he still continues to work with other larger partners to get this underway. And then finally, the Food Recovery Equipment Grant. This is going to be launched in the second quarter, probably in the end of April. We expect to have an informational webinar in May. Tony's still been meeting with food rescue partners and getting their input on it and what kinds of things would be needed. But we expect the applications to be due at the end of June. And those are all my updates for just the organic things that we talked about at the last meeting. We actually have other balls in the air, but I'm not gonna confuse you even more if I talk about this.
Any questions? It's good, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good. And hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have more to talk about, right, the RFI, so that's great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the 2022 Waste Reduction Innovation Grant Final Report.
Yes, so both the attachment C and attachment D are the 2022 waste reduction innovation grants and the final reports for 2023. In the 2022 grant cycle, we had someone need an extension, so we're doing them both. We're giving them to you both at the same time. You can see we've already talked about all of these in past meetings, but I wanted to point out a few things. One is that you'll often notice that the people reached changes, that they start out thinking a lot of people are going to be reached. Mostly that is because of what we ask them to report. A lot of times they'll say, well, 137,000 people are coming to Mad Tree Brewery, but are 137,000 people interacting with this project in a way that would change their behavior? And that's what we ask. So that is why often those numbers are lower, because we want to get the real numbers of the people who would be interacting with it. So I will highlight just a couple of them. We have Bethany School. They came up with a really innovative project to use a lot of reusable tableware and composting. They learned a lot, and we learned a lot in that project. But they did come out actually being able to divert a good amount of material. Le Soup, they had a project that, believe it or not, an ice machine, but the ice machine helped them quickly reduce the temperature of soups and other things that they were making, and make it so that those could be quickly frozen. And then another interesting one was Junk King got a styrofoam densifier, which was, styrofoam weighs nothing. And so when you talk about tonnage for styrofoam, it really doesn't show up, but it's very, it has a lot of volume. So when you're talking about that airspace at the landfill, getting rid of the styrofoam is a good way to reduce that. And if you don't mind, I'll just go into the 2023 ones too. 2023 was another great year of final reports. Church on Fire, they installed a new freezer and were able to increase their capacity to rescue food, which was fantastic. The City of Reading, which was a past target community, they installed outdoor recycling bins in many of their public spaces, including their business district and their parks. And we're able to, and that is one where you do see a lot of people reached, because a lot of people are interacting with that, and that is a form of changing your behavior. And I think we had a really good mix of food pantries and helping outdoor events especially. So if there's any questions about any of these, we've already mentioned them when we first granted them, but yes.
I had questions about Compost Now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they returned the grant, that's why there's.
That's why
it's all zero.
I wondered if they explained why they left town or.
No, that wasn't part of, they just, I think they are doing a lot in Georgia, and I think that it's probably what happened is that they are focusing their efforts where they're building their compost facility and building their efforts. I think they still have customers and still have a presence, but they weren't able to use what they originally applied for the grant for, so they returned it.
Okay. And I was just blown away for Maya for 2020, and then City of Reading for 2023, because it's that is some serious diversion when they hit, so my Y expected 12 tons a year, and they got over 80. And City of Reading thought 3 tons a year, and they got 723. It was way to knock it out of the park.
That's right. Right, any other comments or questions? Okay, thanks, Michelle, thanks for the good news here at the end of the meeting. All right, we've got nothing further. Is there anything else that anyone would like to talk about? All right, our next meeting is at the new location on Patricia McCollum Way up in Bond Hill. I have not seen your digs, but I'm sure they're very nice. Listen, we've outdone ourselves at the county with this new building. But we are consolidating services in one location to become more efficient. So public health will be there, environmental services will be there, veteran services, JFS, addiction response, and DD are all going to be located, and it's free parking. So it's not so relevant to this location, but if you go downtown,
Oh,
you know how challenging it is. So we're pretty excited about it. So our next meeting will be May 20th at 3:00 at that new building. So with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming.